Okay, so to start off with, we're using this type of metal, the weird shaped one, for this very first assignment. We do need to have all of our gear ready to go. So we have a jacket, we have gloves. I'm not wearing those at the moment. We have glasses. You need to have on closed-toed shoes, not Crocs or any sandals. Has to be closed-toed shoes. I have boots on. You need pants. You have to be wearing pants for this. You cannot weld in shorts. So that's everything except for the gloves, which I'm not wearing at the moment. Over here at the tool station, measuring station, I'm going to, and I can work over here at these tables also. Please don't do this measuring work over at the wooden tables. We need to keep all the dirty stuff this direction, please. Okay. It will destroy the wooden tables, and then all of your guys' stuff will get dirty because once we start cutting all this stuff up, it's either going to be wet, it's going to have metal shrapnel all over it, which then gets left at the table and gets into all your guys' stuff and ruins your clothes. So for the sake of keeping everybody's clothes, computers, binders, and all that stuff in good condition, you need to keep this clean. So for measuring out what we're doing, you're going to start with one of these pieces of metal. We're going to get I did this in two ways. I did it with a Sharpie, and then I also did this with a scribe. Scribe being the best way, but for the sake of the video, I had to do it in Sharpie. As soon as I start welding, the Sharpie is going to end up disappearing. It's not going to work out very well. So what I did was I measured up 2 inches using T-square. I got a bigger T-square here just because it happens to be in my hands. The short one works just as well in most cases. So I have a 2-inch line going all the way across there. So I measured up 2 inches and then put it across, drew the line. Then I measured across here every half an inch. So I was able to get 10 lines all the way across here. I'm going to ignore the top part of this because the top, it doesn't matter. This assignment, you need to have 20 2-inch lines. So we got 10 on the front. We'll have 10 on the back. For all of these, I measured out the half-inch marks, and then I went through and I used the square to make my lines. I did that on Sharpie on the front side, so that way you guys can actually see what I'm doing. And again, I didn't need to go all the way up to the top. It could have just stopped at the 2-inch line. On the back side, probably not going to be able to see it because it doesn't show up real well on this, but I use a scribe. The scribe is not going to disappear when this gets hot like the Sharpie is. If I weld right here, this line next to it is basically going to disappear. So when I mark it with pencil or Sharpie, that's what's going to happen. Or if I use the metal brush, I'm going to make it disappear. That's why the scribe is the optimal tool to use. And you can get those online, or you can get those here. We are selling those. So I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to walk you over to the welding station, and we're going to do the demo for getting the welder set up and getting this assignment going. Okay, now we are over here in the welding booth. I'm in booth 3. There's a number above it here, above the light. We have a couple things that we're going to point out. This is our work table. It is adjustable height. You need to be careful that it is locked into place so that way it doesn't just fall to the ground and hurt you. So make sure that it's locked in place. Don't try to break the bolt off the back. You don't have to push hard on it to get the lock into place. This is our exhaust. This should be on. It will suck up all of the exhaust, which is very dangerous to our lungs. Cancerous, heavy metals come off the smoke, or in the smoke. We have to position ourselves to where we're close to this, to where it will suck up all of the smoke. We don't want to breathe that in. I have looks like jumper cables. This is the workpiece clamp is what it's called. We can call it the negative, the ground, but really it's just a workpiece clamp. This could be positive. It could be negative, which that changes how we weld. So this is a workpiece clamp. We're going to put it here. We don't necessarily need to clamp it to the metal that we're actually welding because the metal is touching the metal, is touching the workpiece clamp, which is metal. So the electricity will flow through there or flow to it. So as I am looking at this welder, the switch is on the very back of it. this back corner. I can feel it. I push it in, and it should turn on. It does turn on. These welders haven't been used for a while, quite possibly, if you're here in the first part of the day, or somebody hasn't set it up yet. So I'm going to walk through how to set it up for stick welding. For setting this up for stick welding, we need to make sure that this little lead that comes out of here is out of the way. So just gently put it down. If it's plugged in, then you're going to turn it and then put it down. Our workpiece clamp is going to be plugged into the negative side. So you turn it and it unplugs and it plugs back in. So plug it in and turn it to the right, and then that's it. It's locked in. The stinger, which is what holds the electrode, it's wrapped around over here, around this wrap-up part. It needs to be plugged in to the positive side. Okay, and depending on the type of welding we do, these two could be reversed. So it could be negative, positive. But right now, the stinger is going to be positive. The workpiece clamp is going to be negative. That's how we're going to start this off. A lot of times people keep their electrodes sitting on the back here, and that's fine. Just remember to pick them up and put them back in your locker. I will be giving you guys electrodes to keep in your locker. We need to be able to figure out what we're putting our settings to. You're using 70-14 electrodes. There is no setting for 70-14, so we're going to look at something very similar, which is 70-18. Okay, and remember that we are using a 240 volt plug, which is this big plug right here that's above it or below it, depending on what welder you're at. We're doing stick welding. We have 70-14, so I'm substituting to 70-18. And we have the smallest electrode available on this chart, and that's 3/32. So I'm going to slide all the way over, lining up 3/32 with the 1/4 inch metal that I have. And it's not even an option on here. So this is telling me that I can't even weld that small of an electrode with that thick of metal. But this is the metal that we have donated to us, so we're going to make it work. So I'm going to go one size down, which happens to be 3/16. It says 100, so I'm going to go ahead and set the front of this machine to 100. And if this machine has two different readouts on the front, then you know you're already wrong. On this left side of it, it should say stick, and then it has a blue light lit up next to it. If the blue light is lit up next to something else, then you need to hit the arrow keys here to get it to stick. I'm going to go ahead and set this to 100. Okay, I got it set to 100. My workpiece clamp is on. My metal's sitting over here. This only has a little bit of extra cable. It's not touching the ground. We cannot have it touching the ground because molten metal falls to the ground. We don't want it melting the cable. We don't want to step on that either. I'm going to get the stinger ready to go. This machine is live, by the way, which means that if I touch the inside of the stinger and I'm touching the workpiece clamp or something else that goes into the ground, I'm not wearing rubber shoes or something, I'm going to be electrocuted, and it's going to be really hot, and there's going to be a lot of electricity flowing. So when I get the stinger off of here, we're going to set ourselves up, and we'll set ourselves up in a safe way. So I unwrap it from over here. Okay, so I unwrap it. I don't want more cable on the ground, so there's just enough here to reach the workpiece. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not doing any extra. So once I get over here, you can set this thing down here. You can hook it right there. That's really your only options. This is all going to be hot, so we don't want to set anything on top of here. You want to keep things clean. I'm going to hit pause and grab my electrodes. I left them on the other table, and then I'm going to show you how we get started. Okay, I got the electrodes, got my gloves, got my safety glasses, helmet. I have a hat on. It keeps sparks off my head, and it keeps the helmet from pulling my hair. Don't like that. Got a jacket, got long pants, closed-toed shoes or boots. My electrodes, I'm going to put them right over here. I'm going to stage them right there. And remember, these electrodes stay with you. They're going to go back into your locker, and you're going to put them in the tray. And we're going to do the whole thing again tomorrow. You're going to use your electrode. Is a question that we're going to get asked as you guys start welding. You're going to use your electrode until it gets down to the words. So there's a bunch of words on there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It says 7014, so it's telling me what type of electrode this is. You're going to use it until it gets down to that size. Don't use it past that. Don't keep going. You have to stop because it's going to end up melting the stinger. These are expensive, so don't mess that up, please. To start welding, there are two ways. And you notice I have not put this in here yet because then that would be live and I'm likely to touch something. It's going to spark. It's going to throw sparks. I'm not ready for that. Or I'm going to electrocute myself. I don't want to do that either. So as I go to start, I can tap, and I'm going to tap and then hover. And when I say hover, you're hovering literally like an eighth of an inch to a 16th of an inch to a 32nd of an inch. Like you're hovering, literally barely not touching the metal above the metal. I'm going to get my scratch start or the arc strike. I want to get that to land somewhere in this top part. I don't want the arc strike to be on the tabletop itself. We want these tabletops to stay nice. We do have to clean them occasionally, but let's try to make that cleaning not have to happen all the time. So machine set to 100. I'm going live. It is now in here. I'm going to make sure that my helmet is down. And if you have a button on the side of your machine, when it clicks and it doesn't turn anymore, that means it's in grinder mode. It's not going to go dark. You want to make sure it clicks out of that and that you're set to, and you'll have to look at yours. You want to be set to at least 10. And don't go any less than 10. That will keep it dark enough that you don't end up seeing spots for a while. You need help with that, please let me know, or welding 2 student know, and then we can help you. So helmet's down, and I'm not going to be able to talk much because you won't be able to hear me. You'll just be able to see me welding. I'm going to scratch start it or tap start it up here, and then I'm going to weld the 2-inch line. When I get close to the edge of the metal, I'm going to stop, and then we're going to use a chipping hammer to chip off the slag. We're going to brush it, and then we'll evaluate, and we'll go from there. So to go ahead and put this down, I don't want to touch this. This whole thing is going to be hot. So what I can do is just drop it. So I just squeeze this, and it allows the electrode to fall out. Go ahead and hang that up. I'm going to hit pause. I'm going to go get a chipping hammer. I forgot to grab one of those over there also, and then we're going to talk through this. Okay, I picked up a chipping hammer. Now that I'm over here, I'm going to have to get the slag off. You need to pick this up. Don't pick it up with your gloves. It's going to ruin your gloves. You're going to use a pair of channel locks, the big pliers over there, not the needle nose looking ones, but the big pliers. If you need to pick this up, you can take this over to the sink, and there's a bucket in the sink you can cool it off with. You really don't have to hit it hard to get the slag off. My weld wasn't very good, so the slag got stuck on it because it's not very smooth. So I take a wire brush to it, clean it off, and then I'm going to be able to keep going from there. I'm going to try the next one. It burned pretty quick, and these are small electrodes. I know they're small, but that's we get more bang for our buck. I think I'm going to turn mine down just a hair, probably to 90, just so it doesn't burn so hot and the electrode lasts a little bit longer. I'll see what that looks like on this next one. I'm going to keep doing this one weld at a time, 1 2-inch weld at a time. There's no need to stack, like do all 20 of them and then clean it. you're missing the opportunity to improve. You're just doing the same thing and you're probably making the same exact mistakes every single time. And then you're going to get to them and go, oh, I got to completely restart, which means you need to remeasure. You need to go get another piece of metal and you've wasted all of that electrode. So let's not do that. Okay. We are going to try and weld our initials in this before you turn it in. And before you ever put any metal that's hot in your locker, you need to completely cool it down. We have, like I said, the sink over here that's got a bucket. You want cold running water going into the bucket as you're dipping the metal into the cold bucket. And then there's also an air hose if you need to blow off the water, so that way you can put a dry piece of metal into your locker. The air hose is above the tool station. That basically covers it. So to wrap up here, you're going to turn off your welder. You're going to put your tools away. The brush stays here. I don't have a brush hanger for over there. The brushes just stay in the stations. But all the other tools, everything else goes away. Your stinger, it wraps up back in the stinger spot. And then it can just kind of hang off there. The workpiece clamp, it can stay there. If you got a nice short loop, it can just stay there. That's how we use them. Grab all your electrodes, go put them back into your locker. You can use them again tomorrow. Your metal, you're going to cool it off, put it back in your locker. And again, don't pick it up with your gloves because you're going to end up making your gloves really stiff. You won't be able to grab anything, and you're just going to want new gloves at that point, and it's a waste of money if you ruin them on purpose. You do need to sweep this out. So you're going to sweep off your tabletop, then you're going to sweep up the ground. If there's any metal left over, somebody left scrap metal that they welded on and just forgot it over here or left it over here because they were being lazy, all of that goes, scrap metal goes outside. There's two different recycle bins. There's one set of bins that says aluminum. There's one set of bins that says steel. Make sure that the steel goes in the steel. What we're welding on is steel. So that is that. Happy welding.